I'll give you another peculiarity that Europeans and others see as strange in America that we consider normal, and that is commuting to work. Well, first of all, we drive a lot. We have cars, and a lot of these foreigners don't understand that there isn't a public train service everywhere. America is huge, and you've got, you know, millions of square miles of roads. You're gonna put trains everywhere? You can't. You can't. It's just not gonna happen. If you live in a city like Boston or New York or Chicago, okay, there you can find, definitely you can find some public transit, trains and buses, and they're pretty good. Not as good as in Europe. But most of America, you drive. If you don't have a car, you're screwed. Like North Carolina, where I live, there's no bus anywhere near me. Train? No, no. You need to have a car, or a motorcycle, I guess. And you can't ride a bicycle. I mean, what are you going to ride a bicycle right there in that little teeny-weeny space right there? That's not going to happen. With cars going by, you doing 60 in a 45? That's a good way to get killed. So no, you don't see a whole lot of bicyclists out here. The ones you do see, you get mad at, like, you asshole, coming up the road. Go to a greenway, that's what we think. We have these things called greenways where you can jog and bike. Take your hippie ass self. Another thing about commuting that foreigners don't quite understand is that when women are commuting, especially by train or bus, they dress up in their work stuff, you know, their skirts and their pantsuits and whatevers, but they wear sneakers, and it looks kind of goofy. But these ladies realize that it's a pretty dirty, nasty, scuffy kind of thing to go to work on the public transit, so they wear sneakers, A, to be comfortable, B, because you can scuff a sneaker, it doesn't really matter, and they leave their nice fancy shoes at the job. They change when they get there. And sure, they might look goofy for the 20 minutes to an hour and a half commute that they have to do, but once they get to work, they look normal. It's very smart, I would say. Economical, smart, whatever. Men need to get more of a clue from that. They don't do it very much. Men just wear their shoes. And man, their shoes look nasty. We need more people to be aware of how their shoes look. Shine your damn shoes. Buff them, shine them. Keep them looking good. Of course, now a lot of people are wearing them sneaker shoes. They look like shoes and sneakers at the same time. Snookers. I don't even know if you can make those look good. Here's another misconception that Europeans or others have of Americans. They tend to think that we're all one kind of thing. They stereotype us because they don't understand the size of the country and the diversity. So let me explain that from city to city, from region to region, from coast to coast, you will find many different forms of American culture that are vastly different. I mean, I can't even conceive of what it must be like to live day to day in Montana, where a lot of it's, you know, ranching and farming and that kind of thing. Even North Carolina was a little bit of an adjustment because there's a lot more agriculture done where I live. Up in Boston, shoot, you got to take a train 2 hours just to see a farm. If you see a horse, it's an event up there. And as a result of being in the city, people in the cities are not as friendly. They're more guarded. There's a higher crime rate. A little bit more gruff. They they'll tell you to go screw yourself, but they don't get into fights a whole lot over it. Screw you too, and that's pretty much it. But in places like the South, where it's more agrarian and it's more spaced out, the towns are smaller most of the time, and then it's fighting words. You can go from zero to kill you with just the beep of a horn. You got to be careful. So the culture here is not all uniform. Yeah, sure, we have uniform stuff like the Walmarts look the same everywhere, the McDonald's look the same everywhere, and we got them everywhere. The strip malls and stuff. But that doesn't mean the people are that way. Look at this idiot on the bicycle. Trying to get himself killed. We're getting closer to the university up here. This is North Carolina State University. And so whenever you get near a university, you get more of these hippie types, you know, with the bicycles and the whatever's. I mean, if I were in town, like in Raleigh, I'd be more apt to ride a bicycle because the speed limits are lower and they do have bike lanes. But on these kinds of roads, nope. And I guess the last big one is guns. That's something that people around the world cannot understand about us. And you know what? They're not going to understand because they're not American. And now there are, of course, Americans who agree with the people around the world. Like, having a gun is insane. Why do you even need a gun? You shouldn't have a gun. Guns are dangerous. Okay, that's your opinion. However, we do have a thing called the United States Constitution, and the Second Amendment, part of it says that the right to bear arms, carry weapons, including guns, that's what it was meant for, shall not be infringed. So say what you will about whether or not guns are necessary or needed or good, that doesn't matter. The Second Amendment guarantees people have the right to carry guns. If you want to change that, well, you're going to have to get a constitutional amendment going. And good luck getting that passed. 66% of the country has to agree to ratify any constitutional amendment. And I don't think you'll get 66% of the country to agree to it. So any law that you make to ban a weapon or ban a gun, that kind of thing, I think it's going to fail ultimately because people will make lawsuits against it. And then when they do, the laws will be struck down in some places and upheld in others, but ultimately, nothing's going to change. So you can ask an American, why do you want to have a gun? And the most basic answer that most Americans would give you is because it's my right to. And then I say, well, what are you going to do with that gun? Well, hopefully, I'll never have to use it, you know, to defend myself. But it's kind of like a fire extinguisher. You keep fire extinguishers in your house, and you hope that you never have to use them, but they are there just in case. And the same thing is true with guns. I hope and pray I never ever have to use one to defend myself, to shoot at a human being. Oh my God. But if I do, it's there. If I have to do it, I'll do it. And the fact of the matter is, we've got something like 600 million guns out there in the country. And so if you banned all guns tomorrow and nobody could buy any more, well, what do you do with the 600 million that are already out there? What are you going to do? Go from house to house and search? You're talking civil war right there. Ooh, can't even imagine. So people in other countries don't understand our passion for guns, love affair, obsession, insanity, whatever you want to call it. They don't get it, and I don't expect them to, and they would, you know, resort to calling us stupid and primitive and this and that, and that's fine. Go right ahead. I don't care. You stay in your country, and I'll just stay here. I'll give you an example of life without guns. When I was living in Fiji, the only people who can have guns are farmers that can have a rifle, one rifle, with a one-shot, like a breech-loading rifle, and military can have guns. That's it. So I lived in an area where there was crime, and every once in a while I would hear somebody outside the fence of my compound. I had this big tall fence, and people used to pull up into the driveway and have sex in the driveway in their car outside my fence, because it was kind of a secluded area. And what did I have to defend myself? I had a huge machete. And sometimes I'd go out there and I'd yell through the trees, "Please leave now, or I'm going to call the police," and usually they would go, or I would call the cops and they would come. But what if I went out there with my machete and there was multiple guys? Well, I'm screwed if they have machetes. Or what if they have an illegal gun, which, you know, it's possible to get? I'm bringing a machete to a gunfight? No thanks. So at those moments I thought, geez, it would be nice if I had a gun to defend myself, living all alone in this compound. It's just one of those things, you know. So that's my take on some of the things that international people don't understand about Americans and American culture. This is Mike Haley 7 on the cusp of Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, we'll talk to you later.